How is your break from football going? So, day one of a 2 day break before we get into the quarterfinals of the World Cup, which means obviously there's not very much to recap on after day 18 since there were no matches whatsoever. In saying that, though, we have devised a list of hot topics to discuss. Obviously, as I said, no football on day 18 or 19, which means there will be no football today either. So we just have to find a different way to survive without this football festival that's taking place in Qatar. So, yeah, it was quite a relaxing evening for me yesterday. No pressure at all to watch any matches. I know, it's a tough world. Eden Hazard has retired from international football. We'll cover that. Hansi Flick will remain as the German manager. That's a bit of a surprise to me, I've got to say. The Dutch have already started their mind games ahead of the Argentina clash. Sterling is going to return to the England squad, and we are getting into January, so we can have a quick look at some of the transfer rumours for potential upcoming transfers. 99% of which will be completely untrue, as is usually the case. Usually the case. But you know what they always say? There's no smoke without fire. So we're going to start off. Well, we've already touched on the fact that there's no football on day 18 or 19. And no better way to reiterate that than just showing you the lineup that we have for the quarter-finals. Of course, today being day 19. What am I doing? Hang on. Let's get this straight. Here we go. So, starting at the top, which is not the correct place to start because that's actually the second match tomorrow. But 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. GMT, Irish Standard Time, whatever part of the world you're in. We have Netherlands versus Argentina. We'll get onto the mind games about that shortly. Croatia will play Brazil tomorrow afternoon, 3 p.m. We have England versus France, then the late match on Saturday. And the earlier match on Sunday is Morocco versus Portugal. That's intriguing me, I've got to say. Not that any of these matches aren't intriguing me. I guess the least intriguing one here is Croatia and Brazil, as far as I'm concerned. But Croatia, they're capable. They're capable. As I keep saying, they're street smart. They could pull off a surprise. So it remains to be seen. But back to the hot topics. As I said, Eden Hazard has retired from international football, and he's done so at the age of 31. So he's only actually 31. So he could have had another World Cup in him, in particular when you look at the skill on show. Now, I think a lot of the criticism for the Belgian team came from the fact that it was so old, so that would make him 35 for the next World Cup, but maybe the next Euros would be an option for him at the very least. But anyway, he's decided. He's calling it a day. He's an attacking midfielder or winger, as we know. He actually made his debut for Belgium back in 2008, and he was only 17 when he started out for Belgium. He went on to win 126 caps, and he scored 33 goals for Belgium. I never realized he had gone over the century, actually, in terms of goals. Sorry, in terms of games, of course, not over the century in terms of goals. 33 goals. Which is not too shabby either. I suspect that this will start a mass exodus from the Belgian team. I am expecting a number of other players to retire. I'm hoping that Lukaku doesn't retire, but I wouldn't be surprised about that either. So Eden Hazard added on social media, "Thank you for all the happiness since 2008. I have decided to put an end to my international career. The succession is ready. I will miss you." So that's it. He's stepped down. And unfortunately, under bad circumstances, this is very disappointing from this Belgian team. There were very high expectations of them to do something, and they haven't been able to follow through on that at all. Next up, we have Hansi Flick to remain as the Germany manager despite his side's group stage exit at the World Cup in Qatar. This is being reported this morning by the BBC. So they're saying that Germany's third place finish in Group E marks the second consecutive World Cup at which Germany have failed to progress to the knockout stage. Of course, Hansi Flick was not in charge or leading the German side at the last World Cup. I think that was Joachim Löw. Yes, that was the manager back then. Earlier in the week, the technical director, Oliver Bierhoff, had his contract ended, as we know, so it was starting to look pretty bad, I would say. So that's why I'm a little bit surprised that the German Football Association has decided to keep Flick as the manager before their home European Championships in 2024. So just 2 years away there. Just 2 years. Well, 1.5 years since this World Cup is being so late. So, we don't have too long to wait before our next football tournament fix. My coaching staff and I are optimistic about the European Championship in our own country, said Flick. As a team, we can achieve a lot more than we showed in Qatar. We missed a great opportunity there. We will learn our lessons from that. And the German Football Association president, Bernd, let me get this right, Nundorf, said, we have full confidence in Hansi Flick that he will master this challenge together with his team. Germany didn't look awful. In the matches that I saw them play in, they passed the ball well. They did look like they were playing some very intelligent football. They just weren't getting the goals. They need a good goal scorer in there. And they're misfiring in that regard. As I've always said, it would have been great if Lewandowski was German because he would have sorted them right out. But yeah, so they're going to stick with that project for now, and okay, that's fine. We can all respect that. They want to give the manager a chance, and they can see beyond what happened. Dutch mind games begin. All right. Okay. Well, yes and no. The Dutch mind games begin. So as we know, Lionel Messi has already missed a penalty from the spot during this World Cup. And the Dutch goalkeeper, Andreas Noppert, feels that this is a sign that shows that Messi is potentially human and that he can miss penalties. Well, obviously he can miss penalties. We've seen him miss penalties. I think the fact he's already missed a penalty reduces the chances of him missing another one. But that's another story for another day. Semantics, let's not get into that. Lionel Messi is human and can miss penalties, according to the goalkeeper, ahead of his team's clash with Argentina in the World Cup quarterfinals on Friday. This is Messi's 5th World Cup, and he scored 3 times in Qatar to help Argentina to the final 8 of the tournament, taking his tally, actually, believe it or not, to 94 international goals. There is an expectation that potentially this match between Netherlands and Argentina could be very tight affair and could go the distance, so it could go to a penalty shootout. Hence the reason that Andreas Noppert is starting the mind games. I think you'll have to get up out of bed very early in the morning to get into Messi's mind. To be honest with you, it more or less sounds to me like Messi has already gotten into that goalkeeper's mind. But we'll find out tomorrow, potentially, if it goes to a penalty shootout. And indeed, if Messi does take a penalty. And indeed, if Noppert is actually on the field to save the penalties. Because we have seen Louis van Gaal substitute the goalkeeper before in advance of a penalty shootout. And that worked quite well for him, I have to say. It worked quite well indeed. Raheem Sterling, good news, Raheem Sterling will be returning to the England squad. So he's due to get back to Qatar before Saturday's World Cup quarter-final against France. Sterling, so he plays for Chelsea, as we know, he's 28 years old. He had to fly back to England on Sunday following a break-in at his family home in Surrey. Sterling's spokesman said that Sterling left the England camp to prioritise the well-being of his 3 young children, and I think that's perfectly understandable. He missed England's 3-0 win over Senegal in the last 16, but it's expected that he'll rejoin the squad in Al Wakra on Friday, the 9th of December, and that would be tomorrow. The 9th of December is also day 20 of the World Cup. I was going to say day 19. A little bit of synergy between the nines, no, but today, Thursday, is day 19. Believe it or believe it not. No football, though, will be played today. It's great that Sterling is back. England clearly didn't miss him. They had quite a comfortable win over Senegal. He's missed out on training for the week. I don't think he's going to slot back into a starting position for England. I would be very surprised if that were to happen. You would question where his mind is at as well. But obviously family comes first, very, very important, and I will 100% stand behind that. And realistically, he'll be looking to be in the starting squad for the semi-final, assuming England make it to the semi-final. And that is a very big assumption because they are only playing my personal favourites for the tournament, France. But as I keep saying, whoever wins that match is going to win the tournament, in my opinion. And my opinion is worth nothing. As I said, this is the full disclaimer that I'm attaching to this. Let's finish up on some transfer rumours. I was looking at the latest this morning to see what was going on in the world, and it's very funny, some of the things that are going on out there. And of course, some of these rumours, I've never even heard of these players, but will hear about them in the not too distant future because they'll be either playing in the Champions League or in the Premier League. We'll start off with Man United just because it's on top of the list that I have here. They're apparently tracking the 18-year-old Portuguese fullback João Moreira, and they view him for a potential future move, so maybe not necessarily for a January move. Don't know a lot about this player, I have to admit, but Erik ten Hag seems to be pretty good in terms of having an eye for the younger and upcoming players. So that's out there. Arsenal have proposed a player plus cash deal with Inter for wing-back Denzel Dumfries, which would see Takehiro Tomiyasu depart. Okay, so this is a report that's coming in now. You have to take this one with a pinch of salt as well, because yesterday I believe we were talking about Denzel Dumfries possibly going to Chelsea or Manchester United. So it does appear that a number of the Premier League clubs have identified him as a potential, player for right wing back. Interestingly, Manchester United did play Aaron Wan-Bissaka in their friendly with Cadets last night. He played right wing back there, so I think that's like maybe his first performance for Manchester United this season under Erik ten Hag. Another rumour, Chelsea apparently have made a swap deal with Bayern Munich involving Kingsley Coman and Christian Pulisic. Pulisic, of course, a big star of the World Cup for the US team. So that is very interesting because actually I think Coman is a great player. I'd be surprised if Bayern Munich were willing to let him go, but maybe they see some kind of potential in Pulisic. As I said, he had a very good World Cup. Marco Verratti has agreed a new contract with Paris Saint-Germain, which will see the Italy international remain in France until 2026. Unfortunately, Italy not at this World Cup in the slightest. You would miss them, actually. I did always enjoy the Italian matches. So somehow the European champions couldn't manage to qualify. North Macedonia knocked them out in the playoff semi-finals. Real Madrid are ready to match Palermo's £62 million. Let me do the calculations. That must be about 70 to 75 million euro. Asking price for 16-year-old Endrick, who is now expected to move to the Bernabeu in July 2024. So that's some way off now. That's over a year away. But it takes all sorts of rumours to keep the ship afloat. Jude Bellingham, apparently his management have told Real Madrid that Liverpool are leading the race for the Borussia Dortmund and England stars signature this summer, and this is according to the German newspaper Bild. They're usually pretty good for information. With regards to the Marco Verratti agreeing a new contract with Paris Saint-Germain, that's coming true from Fabrizio Romano. That's usually good information as well. But as I say, I always take some of these with a pinch of salt. But that's the more believable story that I've heard so far today. AC Milan could look to rival Barcelona for winger Gabriel Martinelli. Drinks on the mind. I am Irish after all. Gabriel Martinelli, if they decide to sell Rafael Leao in the winter, and of course Leao isn't that the Portuguese player? Milan have also been linked with an incredibly ambitious swoop of £100 million, so about 130 million euro-ish, for Manchester City winger Jack Grealish. And actually, I've heard a few stories about this already this morning. Jack Grealish, it's not working for him in Manchester City. He's not getting the starting time, the on-field time that he needs to really show what he can do. So a move would certainly be good for him. I think he should stay in the Premier League, though. I think a move to, who would you send him to in the Premier League? Like back to Aston Villa would be great for Aston Villa, but he probably has higher aspirations than that. No offense to Aston Villa. Aston Villa have very good financial backing, and if they do everything right in the background, they could be a power or a force in a couple of years' time. We'll see. We'll watch this space. You never know how it goes. So that's about it. Let me see. Oh yes, two interesting rumors. One from the Football Insider. Liverpool have offered a new deal to forward Roberto Firmino, whose current contract expires next summer. And the final rumor: Chelsea are considering a move for Jadon Sancho, who has struggled to make an impact since joining Manchester United last year. Yeah, I don't know what's happening at all with Jadon Sancho. It looks like he's having some kind of, I don't know if it's personal issues, mental health issues, whatever is going on there. But let's really hope that they can sort things out. And actually, as a Manchester United fan, I would prefer if he stayed with Man United. Personal opinion on that one. All right, so that's everything. We didn't have too many World Cup matches to cover today, as you heard. Let's leave it there for now. Thank you very much for joining, as ever. I will just put out a reminder. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell as well to be notified of future videos. I really got to say that if you like the video, it helps the algorithm a lot. It helps the channel a lot, and we could do with the growth, to be perfectly honest with you. Just going to lay my cards on the table there. I'll leave it there for now. Enjoy your second football free day today, and I will talk to you again soon. Have a good one.